Hey guys, and welcome back to today's video. Today we're going to be doing a bit of cleanup on the INFINITI here. There's a few areas that I'd like to get cleaned up. There's this area here where the 3M is all kind of faded and chipped away. We're going to get that off today. We're going to remove all this waxy stuff here. It's like an undercoating. We've already tried an area here with the product that I recommended in the last video. This stuff here is perfect for removing that stuff. It's pretty much just about the only thing that can actually remove that stuff, because you'll be here all day using all the other products and goo remover and stuff. That stuff just doesn't really work as good. So we're gonna clean up all this stuff here, get all this dirt cleaned up, clean up the engine bay a little bit more, clean the inside of the hood. I also forgot to mention that we're going to be installing hood struts as well on this. I've always liked putting hood struts on my cars, as you can tell here. I've got them on the Mustang and I've got them on the 350. Makes things a lot easier when you're working on the car. You don't have this prop rod in the way, and it just makes it look really clean, especially if you're trying to tidy up the engine bay. It's just the little things that make the difference. All right, so we finished with the hood here. It looks way cleaner now. We took all that residue and wax off the top of the hood. We're gonna now start with the strut towers here, get all this stuff cleaned up, take care of all this over here where the VIN badge is. All right, so now that we've finished with the time lapse of cleaning up some of this area here, you can see it looks 1,000 times better. As you guys seen before, we had all this wax stuff cleaned up. We got the majority of it all cleaned up. Some of these areas are a little bit tighter to get to, but we just used a screwdriver with a cloth and it worked out pretty good. Now we're gonna actually take the wiper cowling and clean up all this inside here, wipe it all down, get all this grime out of here too, and then wipe down the wiper arms as well. Now that all the plastics are actually all cleaned up here, as you can see, they cleaned up pretty good. We just used some degreaser on them and the cowling and everything. We blew them out with air. We're actually gonna leave that one off because we're going to be installing these hood struts here. And we actually need to trim one of the pieces right here. You can see where that little outline is. When it goes like this, the strut actually utilizes that bolt right there, so we're going to trim this around here and then install them back here as well. It's easier to keep them off and then when we trim them, so we don't nick the car. Okay, now that we've finished up the whole entire engine bay, we've put all the wiper cowling back on. As you can see, it's nice and black now from us cleaning it with that degreaser. We put the wipers back on, cleaned up the bolts that or the nuts that go on there. Now we're just going to install the hood struts. Realistically, we should have done the hood struts first, because I was just explaining how this prop rod is actually very annoying to get in the way and when you're working on the engine bay, but in this case, we're just gonna put it on after. The first thing to do is crack this bolt free here. It's pretty straightforward how these hood struts actually go on. These are the brackets that come with it here, and they'll actually bolt into those two studs there and wrap them around, and the strut will actually come right to the body of the car. Alright, now that we have both sides attached here, they were pretty straightforward install. Very, very easy. You can't really screw it up. So we're going to test it out now. Make sure that everything's going to be in line so nothing springs out and hurts the hood or anything. So far, it's good. Perfect. Now that we've finished up everything over here, we're actually going to go over to this side of the car and get rid of this 3M here along the side. This is the OEM one and it looks fine still, so we're going to leave that there. But we're going to get rid of this one because it looks all chipped away and faded away. So we're going to raise the car up. If you guys are any familiar with this 3M stuff, this is very old, so it's been baked on by the sun. There was this same stuff on the hood of the car and it was terrible to get off. So what I like to do and what I found a method that works, some guys can actually use steam guns and stuff and professionally take this stuff off, but I've already tried steam guns on the hood and whatnot and that didn't even take it off. So we're gonna have to get a bit more aggressive with it with the heat gun. And we're gonna heat this all up and use a card that lays down stickers and basically take all the goo off. And then once we have that done, we're gonna have to take a rubber eraser on the end of a drill to get most of it taken off, because that's the only method that I found that actually works. So one of the things too that you have to watch for when you're using this, you can't sit in one spot with it, you will burn through the paint. This stuff's pretty good on the end of these drills here, that it's pretty paint friendly. So after we're done all this here and buzzing away at it, we're gonna take the buffer to each side with some compound and then we'll get rid of some of the swirl marks. We're gonna get this car paint corrected eventually when we're all done here. This is just something to get rid of the hard lines and take some of the swirls out of the paint that we created with the rubber wheel. And then once we get it all cut down and wet sanded from a professional, then it should look good after. I wondered why, oh, there we go. Okay, now we've finished pretty much everything that we're going to clean up today with the engine bay, and now that we've breathed in pretty much every chemical and have big headaches, I think it's time to call it a day with the cleaning of the car. Everything cleaned up good back there. We took all the 3M off, as you guys see. Just got to be careful not to burn through the paint, like I was saying. What's next for this car? Obviously some wheels. We're going to get some wheels real soon for it. We can adjust the suspension height and accordingly, because no sense doing the suspension height when the stock wheels are on it, because the offsets aren't what we want yet. And other than that, we're going to have another video. We'll debadge the back of it and we'll install some reflector lights here to get rid of these orange things, some plate lights, and a few other little touches here and there. So stay tuned for the next video on the INFINITI G35 build series. Thanks, guys.